Have you seen the new Dragons Dogma 2 trailer? I bet you did, because everyone is talking about it. What I wanted to talk about in this video is what are the characters, the traits, the attributes from Dragons Dogma 1 that are the same in Dragons Dogma 2. I mean, if you take a really close look in Dragons Dogma 2 trailers or gameplays, you see that it's basically Dragons Dogma 1 with better graphics, Dragons Dogma 1 with really beautiful mods. Does it look that different from the first game? Let us check it out. The first thing that is basically the same, to me I really enjoy that, is they are still focused on full single player experiences. They didn't give in to all that pressure of multiplayer or PvP. I mean, if you play Dragons Dogma Dark Arisen, which is the remake that they made for PS4, Xbox One if I'm not mistaken, and PC, you can see some online traits. For example, if you create a pawn, your pawn, you can share that pawn for other players to play with. If you don't know what pawn is, wait for a second, I will share in this video. I mean, I love single player games, I really enjoy them, and I think that is a really good point and a really good thing that they maintained. The second thing, I mean, with all of that Souls-like hack and slash movement that we're seeing, mainly Souls-like and Soulsborne games, we see a lot of developers putting the target lock. You can hard lock or you can soft lock. I mean, you can see that in Armored Core, Sekiro, Dark Souls, Elden Ring. You have that playability, and one of the things that makes Dragons Dogma is that you don't have target lock. Basically, you need to count with yourself and your sense of direction to do the best you can to aim at the mobs or at the bosses the way you see fit. I mean, if you're gonna cast a spell or a specific ability, the game will assist you by directing your aim to some targets, but if you are full melee, Godspeed. If you played Dragons Dogma 1, you know that a lot of times you get screwed, you know? You swords from behind, you don't know where you are, sometimes you get a little confused with the camera, you look like a fucking kid in the park that you don't know where your parents are, and you kill. The third thing is vocation and the class system. You still have the starting classes, the starting vocations, and afterwards you have advanced vocations. In this case, you're going to start with fighter, mage, archer, and thief, and they shared two advanced vocations, which are Mystic Spearhand, which is basically a dexterity and mage hybrid kind of class, and Magic Archer, which is one of the most beloved classes in Dragons Dogma 1 or Dark Arisen, one of the strongest and safest builds from the entire game. I don't know if you remember how the classes used to work in Dragons Dogma. You could start with a fighter, a mage, or a strider, and then you had the enhanced versions of these classes, these starting classes, which were warrior, two-handed beefy guy, sorcerer, and ranger, and you had the hybrid ones, which were Mystic Knight, my personal favorite. I loved the combination of strength and magic in this game. I mean, you created that orb and then you beat the orb, and you have additional orbs that were sent to other enemies. I mean, it was amazing the way that you can buff and enchant your shield with fire, lightning, ice, and you can enchant your sword as well, or your weapon of choice. You had all the elemental buffs, and you had like dark and light as well. It was amazing. You have the Magic Archer, which was one of the most famous classes in the game. There are thousands of videos of builds of Magic Archer, one of the most OP classes as well, and the Assassin. I saw the video from the developer saying that we will see many more advanced classes. Let's go to the next one. You still get 3 pawns of your choosing to create your own party. The pawn system in Dragons Dogma is amazing. I really love the way that you can level up your pawns. The best scenario possible, you get 1 pawn for each function. Basically, it's like a normal MOBA experience that you get, for example, a tank class that goes in front of everyone in the party, facing all the enemies, getting beaten and taking all of that damage. I always try to have a mage, because mage in Dragons Dogma 1, they have the healing spells, and the sorcerers they don't have. They have more destructive elemental spells. And of course, you have the range one, and myself, that I can go range and close range depending on the situation. Still talking about pawns, let's move on to the 5th trait, which is pawn interaction. I mean, if you remember Dragons Dogma 1, if you were fighting a group of harpies, or for example, if you had a fighter in your party and he lifted the shield, it meant that you could jump on the shield and perform a jump attack onto the enemy. And I think you will have more of those interactions, but they still preserve that interaction with your pawns for a more fluid gameplay. And there's a specific scene on the gameplay. Basically, you are trying to control a harpy to get to a higher ground, and then when you fall, your fighter or warrior, I don't know, catches you, and that's really, really nice. And still talking about interaction, you can see in the trailer that they preserved the physical interaction regarding the bosses and the bigger enemies. For example, if you're fighting an ogre and you stun the ogre, you can climb its back and then perform a critical hit in his head or whatever, and that is really, really nice. For example, you can climb the chimeras. You still have ambushes. I don't know if you remember, you have a lot of ambushes, wolf ambushes, bandit ambushes, and they preserve that as well. They still have the night and day system, which night is way harder. You have pack of wolves, you see skeletons and groups of skeletons charging at you. The enemies are stronger. The way you get the quests is really similar to Dragons Dogma 1. I don't know, you find someone on the road and that person asks if you can escort them. Oh, the escort missions are so annoying. I fucking hate the escort missions in Dragons Dogma. I mean, you need to take the person from Japan to Alaska by foot, and you have that shallow dialogue, that simple questing dialogue, and they, as far as I could see in the trailer, they maintain that, and to be honest, I love it. If you are taking a long walk at night, getting from A to B, and you see camping sites, you still have camping sites in Dragon's Dogma, place that you can rest, recover your health, organize your inventory. Not only the camping sites, but you also have other areas or fortresses and cities that you can rest as well. So they are maintaining that. And we need to talk about what is new in Dragon's Dogma 2. As far as I could see, the enemy AI is much more fluid, it's more intelligent as well, and you have more experiences in the way the monsters behave. You have two divided worlds in here. Vermont, which is the human kingdom, which is being ruled by the last Arisen. If I'm not mistaken, from 1,000 to 1,000 years, the prophecy beholds a new Arisen, if I'm not mistaken. And you have the Batal, which is the land of the Beastren. If you have two kingdoms, which is the human and the Beastren, you will of course have other races to choose. Not only classes, but races as well. This hybrid one, which is, I think that a lion with a humanoid lion, I really enjoy that. In every RPG game I like to play myself, you know, this huge long-haired Thor from Chernobyl, or Chernothor, little fat sometimes in the character creation. Not too much, because I don't want to feel like I am overweight the way I am now. Just like regular weight, little beefy. But if you enjoy that fantasy that you see yourself as a beast, you'll be able to choose more races for your gameplay. You can see that the interaction with the environment in Dragon's Dogma 2, it's much more enhanced, more options for you to interact with the environment. One example is that part that the character takes a huge barrel, I think is an explosive barrel, and he's fighting an ogre, and then he throws the barrel into a dam, and then the dam explodes, and then there's water everywhere, and the ogre is taken away by all of that water. I mean, the best way to fight an ogre is with water from a dam, right? Effective. And the best thing ever, in my opinion, is the pawn AI system. I mean, the interaction with the environment, the interaction with enemies, the strategies for combat, it is much more intuitive. The pawns, they interact much better with the enemies. They have strategies of combat, they have strategies with you, and they help you in battle in a really different way, a more organic and much more realistic way. I think they are going to keep the affinity system, you know. I'm gonna share a story with you guys. I was playing Dragon's Dogma 1. I'm a straight guy, you know. Basically, if I'm playing a game, I want to end up with a lady. I respect everyone, it's not a problem. I'm talking about myself, my fantasy story. So I started the game, and then you had that merchant. This is the guy, this merchant here. And I did all of the quests, and then I forgot to do this guy quests in the end. And then what I did, I completed his quest, and in the end, the dragon finds a beloved one. Guessed who was my beloved one? This guy. And at the end of the game, there's a love scene, basically a foreplay that leads to a love scene, and then I am having the love scene with this guy. I was so annoyed. I started the game again and then got myself a proper lady, you know, because I enjoy that, because it's my fantasy story. And what happens? The affinity system in Dragon's Dogma, basically you need to have a huge level of affinity or deliver a specific item for that person to be your beloved one. The last NPC that you get the highest level of affinity by questing, etc., is your beloved one. Or there are some stories that if you have a huge affinity with someone, that might surpass a specific NPC that you have a low affinity, or maybe did like half a quest. but that's what happened to me. So if you're gonna play Dragons Dogma 2 and you really care about lore and about which are your affinities, be careful, okay? Choose yourself your right partner for the game, and don't do as I did, that you needed to complete the game twice for you to change that. As far as I could see, these were all the characters that I saw in Dragons Dogma 2 that are the same in Dragons Dogma 1. If you saw any other characters that I didn't mention, please comment here. Let us talk with each other. I really love talking with you guys. I really enjoy that. I reply to every single little comment that you make. So, and if you enjoy the videos that I'm making from the deep of my heart to you, you can activate the notification bell for you not to miss out any video that I post. Thank you so much, and see you on the next video. Bye bye. Victorious.